talk Apple and Google today. For that, we're joined by Lance Ulanoff. Lance, of course, the editor-in-chief of PCMag.com. He is monitoring and will be live blogging the Google event today. Lance, one of our favorites on the program. Great to see you.
Nice
Welcome
to be
back.
back.
Okay, so what are you listening for specifically on Google? It has to do with this venture into the social networking game.
Yeah, that's, Google hasn't made any public announcements. So the big assumption here is that they're going to do some sort of integration with Gmail, so either directly integrating Twitter, some sort of Twitter-like functionality, some sort of Facebook functionality. Currently, you can update your status on Gmail, but then it disappears. So this is the idea of it being more persistent and able to bring together all your contacts. But you want it to go outside of Gmail. You do want it to integrate with Twitter and Facebook. Otherwise, it's kind of an online dead end.
Let me take a step back here and ask you about strategy. What is it about all these tech giants, Apple, right, leaking the clues about the iPad so far in advance, and Google, it seems like we already know the story. You've already got a whole analytical opinion on the idea of going into social networking. What's with that strategy? Is it working out?
I think it's very important for all of these companies to be out there, to be wherever people are. So there's not just a social strategy, it's a mobile social strategy, right? If I'm walking around with my smartphone, I'm constantly tweeting what I'm doing, I'm updating my Facebook apps. So you want to do that, and you want to sort of build some excitement in leading up to these announcements. And I think Google is sort of hitting on all of those engines there, because it's getting further into the social space, which is really important, and it's building buzz even when it says nothing.
I want to also ask you, Lance, about Apple, Macworld. It's being characterized as a non-event, right, because Steve Jobs isn't there. What's behind that? I mean, they just, again, introduced iPad. What's the purpose?
Look, Apple says they don't need a trade show event as a platform to introduce their products. One, they don't want to share the stage with anyone, and they really don't need to anymore. We saw what happened with the iPad. There were hundreds of stories written before the product was announced, and then during the announcement, hundreds and hundreds more, and after that, they just kept going, and Apple did it all on their own. They didn't need Macworld to sort of get up on stage. So it's just they've reached that level. And this is really what Apple said. They've reached that level in their marketing and media exposure and their ability to reach their customers that a trade show is no longer necessary. Macworld ends up being really for the Mac devoted, the super Mac fan, how to extend the platform, how to build more on top of the ecosystem, how to go deeper. So it's more about products. It's about third-party companies. A lot of third-party companies work with Apple products, so there's still some value there. But Apple's just taking a pass.
Now compare Apple and Google for me, if you will. Both, of course, innovative, both coming out with new products. You've got smartphones, e-readers, the social networking venture. Will one win out over the other, or is there so much opportunity out there that they'll ultimately just cross over and both succeed?
The story's somewhere in between. I mean, they're going to keep competing hard against each other in all venues. Anytime Apple sees Google encroaching on its market share or its control of its products, like with Google Voice, it'll kind of do a blocking measure. But that doesn't hurt Google in any way. Google reaches hundreds of millions of people around the world. It's just fine, whether or not it's got Apple working with it. But the interesting thing is to watch these companies continue to start encroaching on each other's space, getting closer and closer. I don't know what the future holds, but I think it's going to be very interesting to keep watching them.
And you'll do that for us. Lance Ulanoff, editor-in-chief of PCMag.com. Thanks again for your time today.
Pleasure.